Hi, FlossTube. This is Tina Frazier coming to you from Columbus, Ohio. Today is Saturday, July 4th, 2026 at approximately 6:45 p.m. Eastern Time. And I'm coming to you today with a very special and long overdue WIP parade. So thank you very much for coming. If you're new to my channel, this is my YouTube channel where I talk about my love of cross stitch, other crafts that I do, other hobbies that I have, and just generally talk to you about things going on in my life. So thank you very much for stopping by. I'm really glad you're here. I really like meeting new friends here on YouTube, and I can't wait to spend more time with you. So thank you very much for stopping by. If you're a returning watcher, again, you're a good friend here on YouTube. Thank you very much for stopping by. Hopefully you'll see something here in my WIP parade that will enable you to maybe purchase a new project or to try cross stitching maybe for the first time or to just get some inspiration for something in your life or just have a way to maybe, kind of pass the time a little more quickly that you might be able to leave this video running in the background so you can complete whatever it is that you have to work on a little more mindlessly. So thank you very much for stopping by. My friends here on YouTube really mean a lot to me, and I'm glad you're here. If you're a returning subscriber, you're a really good friend, and I really do appreciate the fact that you spend your time here with me on YouTube, and I'm really glad to have you as a friend. So thank you for being here. If you haven't already, I encourage you to click the subscription button below and also click the notification bell so you'll be notified when I do upload new content. It's just a good thing to do, and it would just let me know how much I am appreciated and how you really like my stuff. So thank you very much for doing that and also for considering being a really good friend and subscribing. So today here in America is July 4th. We are celebrating, well, today is the 250th celebration of our independence from all the things in the past. Unfortunately, I am not really feeling the independent spirit and the patriotic spirit this year. There's a lot of stuff going on government wise here in the United States that I am opposed to. And I have been having trouble just really kind of getting into the celebration spirit for the 250th this year. So I am not really doing a whole lot this weekend. We cooked out today. We cooked a flank steak on the grill. We had some corn on the cob. We had some coleslaw. We had a friend over. My husband's best friend from high school came over. His wife passed away 2 years ago, and we've been celebrating holidays with him and his daughter, who is in grad school. And we've been celebrating holidays with them. For a long while now, and especially since his wife passed away. But he came over, so we had a little bit of cookout and we hung around and talked and stuff. If you can see outside, it looks like it's sunny, but it's really overcast. We had a pretty good downpour about an hour and a half ago. And storms are kind of expected on and off through the evening tonight. We have a chance of severe thunderstorms coming through with some possibly damaging winds and whatnot. So even though it looks rather sunny outside, it is actually quite overcast. So you may actually see the light change in here. I do have a lamp, an LED lamp on right here, so it looks a little bright. I am sitting currently in my craft room. I'm sorry if it looks a little messy. Just have stuff piled in here. But I am sitting in my craft room today because I am doing a WIP parade. So if you're unfamiliar with terms in the cross stitch realm of the universe, a WIP is a work in progress, WIP. It means a cross stitch project that you have put some stitches with thread onto your fabric, or you've added beads, or what have you. You have started the project in some sort of way. My WIP parade has been long overdue. I haven't had a WIP parade in a couple of years, and I had promised my viewers here on YouTube that I would do a WIP parade this year. So this is my attempt at recording my WIP parade. So I don't know how long my WIP parade is going to take. Um, I am hoping to get this recorded and maybe uploaded in 3, 4, 5 segments, whatever it takes. But let me pause for a second, and I have to get my WIP list out to prepare. I should have prepared this before I started, but let me get my WIP list out and we will get started momentarily. So I am back. You didn't see that because I just paused the video, so it was very much a very quick turnaround. So thank you very much for a little brief pause while I grabbed my WIP list. So I have my WIPs, my current ongoing WIPs, saved in an Excel spreadsheet that I print out at the beginning of every year. And my spreadsheet for this year is 2.5 pages long. And I add to it, you can see here that I've written in some stuff. Let me put this behind it so you can see a little better. But I have written in some stuff at the bottom there, adding to my current WIPs that I am actively working on for the year. This is my 2026 WIP list, and I have, when I first started 2026, I was sitting at, are you ready for this? 89 works in progress. So far for the year, I have not completed one WIP. So I was still at 89 WIPs. And so far this year, I have started 3 more projects. So I have a total of 92 WIPs to show and share with you today, or when I get these videos all recorded. So you may see it kind of a little bit of a time lapse, especially behind me. And also in my shirt, I may be having to record this on separate days, but I'm hoping to get everything recorded at least tonight, and then edited in parts and uploaded piece by piece until I am through with all my 92 WIPs. Now, a lot of these WIPs, some of them are going to be ones that I have barely started. Some of them are going to have quite a bit. I honestly can't tell you what my oldest WIP is, nor how old my oldest WIP would be, because some of the WIPs that I will be sharing and showing you, I did not keep adequate track of exactly when I started. I can give you a time frame and kind of estimate like how long I've been actively keeping that particular project in my stash, but I can't necessarily tell you exact start dates on quite a few of my WIPs because I wasn't tracking them that accurately when I first started them. So thank you very much for understanding that. I've got to put a little bit of chapstick on. Bear with me just a minute. I have a little Hello Kitty macaron. It's a little macaron, little chapstick thing. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of put a little chapstick on my lips because my lips are a little chappy and a little dry. So that is good. Yay for some chapstick. But anyway, my WIP rate is not going to be in any specific order of WIPs or alphabetical or whatnot. And as I go along, I'm going to be kind of ticking my spreadsheet so I know which WIPs I have actively shared with you. If I can find a working pen, I might have to resort to a pencil. See if this purple pen works. I think this purple pen, yeah, the purple pen will work. But anyway, my WIP parade will not be in excuse me, any particular order. I also have my iced coffee in my very colorful Starbucks tumbler. It's a homemade iced coffee. I didn't get it from Starbucks. The tumbler's from Starbucks, but the coffee inside is not. And I also have a YouTube stream. I have one of my favorite Disneyland streamers who is streaming from Disneyland right now playing on my television. So it is muted quite a lot. So, or the volume's turned way, 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 way down. So if you see me looking this way to the side, I'm taking a glance at what the YouTube streamer from Disneyland is showing from Disneyland. If you don't know, I currently live in Central Ohio. I've been living in Central Ohio since 1992. And I grew up in Southern California. I used to live about 15 to 20 minutes away from Disneyland, and we used to go to Disneyland a couple times a year when I was growing up. Haven't been to Disneyland since, I haven't been inside Disneyland proper since 1999, before California Adventure was even open. They were still building California Adventure the last time I was inside Disneyland. So it's been a long, long time. So I've really been enjoying watching Disneyland streams on YouTube because it makes me feel like I'm back home. But anyway, I really hope that you will enjoy the WIPs that I have to share with you. If you just watched my most recent video that I uploaded really late last night, you have seen a few of these WIPs again. And I'm probably going to start, honestly, with those WIPs because they're out and they're right here next to me. So you've seen a couple of these in my most recent videos, but some of these you haven't seen and I haven't seen in probably a couple of years. So I hope that you will indulge me as I kind of go over some of the stuff with you, and hopefully this won't take too long. So I encourage you now to go grab something to drink. Grab a notebook in case you want to take notes. I will do my best to give you all the information I have for all the projects that I have in my WIP lineup, including the floss being used, the fabric, the count of the fabric, the designer, and the pattern name, if I know that information, and the date started. So again, just bear with me. I haven't necessarily tracked all the information, and I don't know some of the projects that I pull out. I won't necessarily know what's in the bag until I pull it out. So thank you. That being said, let's go ahead and get started. It is 12 minutes in and I haven't started my first bit of the WIP parade. So we will go ahead and get started. So thank you very much. I am actually going to start with the bags right next to me. So let's get started with that. I have these in the bags, in some shopping bags next to me, because these are going back out to my stitchy spot in the living room. I have planned for July stitching already, and these are some of the projects that I have slated to work on for the current month in July. So anyway, I was saying I participate in various Facebook challenge groups, and I have the last couple of days I spent kind of planning and getting my thoughts and plans together for my YouTube video last night, my FlossTube installment, and I have all these projects that I need to take back out to my stitching room in the sunroom of our house. My husband and I live with my mom here in Central Ohio. My stepdad passed away. The fact that that's a little uneven is bothering me. That's still uneven, but all right. Actually, I'm gonna move that back. All right. I'm gonna slide you over this way a little bit as I adjust the camera. All right, I guess that's good. We'll kind of leave it at that. It's a little crooked, but I am just gonna kind of deal with that. So anyway, my husband and I live here in Central Ohio with my mom. I taught my mom how to cross stitch about 10 to 12 years ago, and she's going like gangbusters, and she is doing really good. She's almost 80. I think she'll be 80 at the end of this month. Maybe she'll only be 79. She was born in 47. So she'll be 79 this month. And so it's been nice living with her, you know. It's living with mom, but it's generally been nice. There we go. I think that is more, that is a little, you know. We'll just leave it at that. All right, that I'll be happy with that. Anyway, but we're living with mom, and it's been really nice just having her nearby. She used to live out in California until 2019 when my stepdad passed away. And in 2019 we moved here to Ohio, and we all three of us decided to find a house that the three of us could live together in, because the house that my husband and I owned at the time was just too small for three adults. And instead of having her buy her own house and then having to sell her house in 5 or 10 years with her health potentially declining, we decided to find a house that all three of us could move in together, and my husband and I would sell our other house, which is pretty much what we did. So we've been living here since March of 2020, and we're really enjoying just being here and being together. So thank you. Thank you very much for that brief little introduction. And it's now 16 minutes in, and let's get started with my WIP parade. But as I was saying, I have my bag, some of my WIPs here that I will be starting with to share with you. This bag of WIPs is going back out to my sunroom, where I usually stitch in the evenings after work. So this first bag, this is a Garon tote bag, little project bag. So you can see here, it's in a Garon tote bags project bag. I was in the Garon tote bags Grime Guard of the month. I was one of the original Grime Guard of the month subscription members to their Grime Guards subscription. And during the year, they would have raffles where you could win matching project bags for the their subscription members. But anyway, so this is a Christmas piece. This, I keep track of my WIPs on little index cards that I write the project, the designer, the count of the fabric, if I've started it. I have been trying to keep up with this method of tracking my starts in the last couple of years. So some of my newer projects have these cards, some of my older projects do not, which is why I can give you some of the information for some of the projects and why some of them don't have. I won't be able to tell you the dates I started. So this first project here is Heaven and Art Designs. This is mini enchanted Christmas reindeer artwork by Donna Gelsinger. And you can see that. I have the PDF patterns for a lot of my full coverage designs. I stitch quite a bit on full coverage. I also stitch quite a bit on 32 count, 28 count, and 40 count linen. I also do stitch some on 20 count Aida or Hardanger, because I like stitching 1/1, one strand of floss over one thread, or sometimes 1/2 on 40 count, because the coverage on 20 count plus fabric is really good with one strand of floss. So I've been loving stitching one strand of floss. But anyway, I have quite a few Heaven and Art designs in my WIP parade to show you, but I am no longer actively purchasing designs from Heaven and Art Designs. So whatever Heaven and Art Designs patterns that you see that I've started are ones that I've purchased or likely purchased, and they're probably all the ones that I'm ever going to do going forward, just because I'm no longer purchasing Heaven and Earth Designs patterns. I do follow their website, and I am part of the official Facebook group for them. And I will download free patterns from their website, but I do not actively purchase from them anymore. But anyway, this first piece is the Mini Enchanted Christmas Reindeer by Donna Gelsinger. I am stitching this on 32 count easy count fabric. I showed this in my WIP, my updates, FlossTube updates video last night, and this is where I am currently at. So this is the top up in the upper left corner. Above, it's this area up in here is where I'm at, and you can see this little bit right here. This little pointy bit right here, that is the antler. So I have reached the antler of the reindeer. I use Pattern Keeper when I stitch on a lot of that was my cat Gus just walking by the window. But I stitch a lot of my full coverage pieces using Pattern Keeper because it helps me keep track of my stitches a little better. This piece I am stitching 1/1/10 stitch, so I'm doing half stitches for this one. All right. This next bag is one of those kind of plastic mesh bags. There's quite a few things in here. Again, this WIP parade isn't specific to any one thing. Now, some of these projects are ones that I have not started. This one is. All right. Is this one? Yes. These other two are new to me mill hill kits that I have not yet started. But these other ones are ones that I have. So this first one I am going to show you. This is the Jim Shore Puppy by Mill Hill. And I am stitching this on the perforated paper. It is backwards. I'm stitching this on the perforated paper that came with the kit. And I have this on some wood stretcher bars, so I don't bend the perforated paper that came with the kit. And the beads for this kit just fell to the floor. I am using the kit floss for it, so we have that. But this is the Mill Hill Jim Shore Puppy for Christmas. This is going into the living room to potentially be worked because I am doing essentially Christmas in July. And my WIP Go has a Mill Hill kit on it. So I may be working on this one to try and get this one finished. So one of the other kits that I am working on is Wanda's Wands. This is also a Mill Hill kit. This is Wanda's Wands, and sorry about the glare, it might be kind of hard. Wanda's Wands. It's a little haunted village pattern. And again, I am using the Mill Hill flosses for this. So I will keep this on here. I have a little Hello Kitty, zombie needle minder on here, and this is where I am at. So this is the bottom of the house, and this is a cat in the window. I had started this one as part of to go along with Carla Being Crafty here on YouTube. Carla Being Crafty is one of the YouTube channels that I've been following for quite a few years. Every year on her birthday, she does a cat sale, and she'll start a project with a cat because she used to have a little black cat. Well, it wasn't so little, but her black cat, Bagheera, Baggy for short, she was, you know, really in love with her cat. And Mr. Baggy passed away a couple of years ago. Carla has since had some other stuff happen in her life, but she used to do black cat sales, and I started this with her that one year, a couple years ago, as part of her black cat birthday celebration stitch along. I didn't see where I wrote down when I started this, but anyway, let me get to the Mill Hill bit of my list. And we did the puppy, and we did Wanda's Wants. Okay, Mill Hill puppy and Wanda's Wants. All right. Oh, and we did Enchanted Christmas Reindeer as well. Let me mark that down on here so I know. Enchanted Christmas Reindeer. There we go. All right. Marking. Yes, I'm marking them. Cool. Let me see if there's anything else in here that I have started. Yes, there is. I am also working on Midnight Owl. This was something that I had started a while back. My card is in here. So I started this one August 11th, 2022. And where I'm at, I haven't gotten very far. But where I've gotten to is up here in the corner. I have been just working on the background for it. So that is where I've gotten to on Midnight Owl. It's just a very basic start. So you'll see various starts and various amounts of stitching on these. The needle minder that I have on here is just a little teeny simple little plastic cat, little stylized cat to go along with the owl. Got to make sure that I get all the kit stuff in here. I am using the kit floss and the kit beads. I usually use the kit floss and the kit beads for all my Mill Hill stuff. That aside, that is nothing. This next piece is the Nativity Trilogy, Baby Jesus. So I have all of the nativity sets from Mill Hill that I am hoping to finish someday. I do have Mary finished, and this one is quite a bit completed. Let me go ahead and put this behind it so you can see. So I have Jesus in the manger. It's not complete yet, but I haven't stitched this in quite a while. I don't think I wrote down when I started. I did not. So I do not know when I started this. But anyway, there's a couple of the Mill Hill kits that I have going right now. Oh, come on. Come on. Get in there. There we go. All right. So that is Wanda's Wands. So Wanda's Wands, I started in 2020. I do not have the date for the actual date, but Wanda's Wands, I did start in 2020. And I don't think I have anything else in there. All right. Oh, there are two other little ones in here. This was a little teeny kit that I wanted to have something on the go. This is a little Artiste brand little witch's hat. This one I am stitching 1/1 on the called for floss or the called for fabric. I don't know, the kit fabric. And that's where I've basically just gotten the outline of the witch's hat. And it does come with a little plastic frame that you can put the finished piece in. So that is a little itty bitty thing that I should probably just work on and knock out this year. Then I have another little Mill Hill kit called Festival of Trees. I don't know when I started this one either. But this is really cute. So we have the Festival of Trees. This is the silvery tree. I'm sorry my camera is not going to really focus for you. But where I've got the stitching that I've got done, it's not very much. It's just what's at the top. It's just the white at the top. And I am using the kit floss and the kit perforated paper. So that is everything in my little mesh bag here. So let me get all of these put back in here. I am not going to put the Mill Hill Santa kits that I have not yet started in here, just because I kind of want to keep my other kits separate from these, and we will be good. All right. There we go. That is some of my Mill Hill kits. So let me go ahead and mark those off. So we have Baby Jesus, Festival of Trees, Midnight Owl, and then we have the Witch's Hat. Do. Witch's Hat. Is it over on the other side? Words to live by. Well, we have the little Witch's Hat, and I cannot find it on my mini Witch's Hat. There it is. There we go. So we are doing good. All right. This next piece is also on my WIP Go for this month. This is from the Frosted Pumpkin Stickery. I showed this just on my video yesterday. This is Frosted Pumpkin Secret Sleigh Society. And that's what it looks like. This one is just stored in a 2-gallon Ziploc bag. And I am using the called for floss on the called for fabric. And I am stitching this on Picture This Plus 28 count gingerbread Lugana. And I started this November 3rd, 2018. I don't think I'm doing this. I don't think I started this as something for a stitch along, but this is where I'm starting at for this month. I'm hoping to get some work done on this because this is the square, one of the squares that I chose for February. I had to make a change to my WIP Go to update the last square that I have remaining for January. This is one of the Garan. I think this is a Garan. This might not be a Garan grime guard, but I have a little gingerbread grime guard that I was keeping in here with the project. I am using the called for glosses on this. So we have to go into Frosted Pumpkin, and we have Secret Sleigh Society. Yay! All right, this next one is one that I started a couple years ago. It's also in a 2-gallon Ziploc bag. This is Kitty and Me Designs by Pamela Kellogg. It's part of the Colorful Bunnies line, and it is Lavender and Orchid Colorful Bunny. My project card says I am stitching this on 32 count purple hand-dyed fabric. I'm not sure where. I think it came from Color and Cotton. Yes, I believe it did come from Color and Cotton. And I started it Easter 2020. So I started this during the Easter pandemic, or during the pandemic in 2020 at Easter time. And this is where I am at. I have the ears mostly done and a part of the nose. So that is one of my WIP Go squares that I need to get 250 stitches on before I put it away, but I'd like to get a little bit more. I am doing the called for flosses for this. So that is Colorful Bunnies by Kitty and Me Designs. Lavender and Orchid. I have quite a few Kitty and Me design patterns in my 2-stitch thing. So this next project bag is an Aurora Borealis project bag. It isn't labeled who it came from, but last year I had a very good stitching friend of mine who also worked at my local needlework shop here in Columbus, which is how I got to know her. She was also a geocacher, but she went into the hospital preparing for knee surgery because she wanted to have knee surgery so she could go to our stitching retreat at the end of last year and walk into the retreat. She has been pretty much wheelchair bound for a couple of years, and she went into the hospital preparing for surgery, but to deal with some health issues that they needed to rectify before she went into surgery for her knee, and she passed away. And she was an avid stitcher, so I ended up with a good chunk of a lot of her cross stitch stash and her finished Mill Hill Christmas ornaments. Melanie Pratt was a really good friend of ours, and the stitching world knew her. The local community knew her, and she was also a really good storyteller. She used to tell stories a lot at Cedar Bog, which is, I think, northwest of Columbus, about an hour and a half northwest of Columbus. But she used to volunteer and tell stories and stuff there. She was a really great lady, really, really fun. But this was one of the project bags that she had, and I actually inherited some of her WIPs. And these are some of the things that Melanie had started to stitch that I am taking over as my own WIPs. This is a thing from Melanie Pratt's memorial. So she died March 17th. She actually died March 17th, not March 19th, 2025. And may she rest in peace. But she had these little pumpkins. This one actually I had started. She was an avid Mill Hill kit stitcher, so I have quite a few. This one was one that she actually did not start. This is one that I started that was in her stash, and I started this sometime last year. I don't know that I wrote down when I started, but this first one is this one. It is the Autumn Pumpkin by Mill Hill. I'm going to use Melanie's card to show you, but this is where I got to on Autumn Pumpkin. So you can see it's the little swirl down here on the pumpkin. This little swirl that is where I got. And I don't know why I have Cosmo Floss in here, but I have Cosmo Flosses in here. Maybe she had them for something. I don't know if this one is one that's started. I don't think this one is started yet, but it's residing in here with this. I don't think this is started. No, this one is not started. But she was an avid Mill Hill kit collector and stitcher. She's a really good friend of mine. But this is another pumpkin in that series. So they're both residing here in this very nice Aurora Borealis bag. So because it's this bag, Melanie had this bag. She really liked Aurora Borealis. I have 2 of her projects that she would have stitched had she still been alive. Give me just a minute to realign some of my projects and get some of the ones I just showed you put back in their bags so I can send them back out to the front sunroom, and I will be right back. All right, so we are back. I'm going to take a sip of coffee. They're doing the flag retreat at Disneyland right now. where they take down the flag that hangs in the very entrance to Main Street, just inside the gate underneath where you walk in underneath the train, the Main Street train station. And they're doing the flag retreat where they bring the American flag down off the flagpole. They usually have a kind of a ceremony that they do and have a band play and stuff. So this next project bag is in this kind of Christmassy project bag. The inside of the project bag has little gingerbread cookies and stuff. The project bag is from Goose Designs, and this is my Heart in Hand square dance project. So I have all 4 patterns of the Heart in Hand square dance pieces. I have all 4. Each pattern has 3 months of the square dance patterns in them, and I am doing all 12 of them. But I am doing them so for April, May, and June, I am stitching them all in one row all together so I can turn them into dough bowl pillows. And I have a start on 2 of the dough bowl pillows, and I would like to show this to you now. So this is where I've gotten to on Heart in Hand square dance. So as you can see, I have October and November done. I need to add December. And then I have April done and a little bit of May. And that is where I'm at. So you can see I am leaving space in between them so I can actually cut them in, I can cut them in apart and sew them into little pillows. I am doing this on, let me see if I can find my card. There it is. So this tells you how I have my fabric laid out. So you can see each one of those ones. I have 2 inches in between each of the things. And kind of how I'm stitching them on the big piece of fabric. So I have this big piece of fabric that I am stitching all of them on. All of my pieces, all of my WIPs are not ironed. I have not been ironing them as I go along, just because I don't know when I will be getting to stitch them next. And I don't have my card in here. I am using most of the called for flosses, except for December. I am swapping out some shiny bits for December. So for December, I am going to be using Rainbow Gallery Petite Treasure Braids, which are shiny and stuff. So I'm making my December ornaments shiny when I get to stitching them. But anyway, that is where I am on Heart in Hand square dance. I don't have the information written down. Do I have it in here? Maybe I wrote it on the sheets. I don't think I wrote it on the sheets. There's my card. It's packed away. So I am working this on 40 count raw Newcastle linen. I am using 1 strand over 2 on 40 count, so it's actually 20 count, using the called for floss. I started with the November square in October of 2024 on October 12th. So I started this October 2024 stitching for square dance. And I do make paper copies of the patterns, so I have working copies. But anyway, that is Heart in Hand square dance. Which is Heart in Hand square dance. Okay. Next up, this is a piece that I started as part of a stitch along. I purchased this from BDL XXX Stitch Emporium, and they started a stitch along in 2025 for the Santa stitch along, and this was the one pattern available that I chose because I thought it was super cute. It's called Shh. So this is BDL XXX Stitch Emporium. I am stitching this on 32 count easy count fabric using the DMC floss, and I kitted the floss on January 10th. I got the fabric on January 11th, And I started this February 1st of 2025. And it was part of my WIP Go in January is square 20 because I knew it was coming up. But I don't have a very big start on this. All I have is this part right here up at the top. So about 400 stitches is all I have in there. And I am stitching this 1/1/10 stitch on 32 count easy count using the DMC box. I have a lot of these plastic mesh zipper bags. I got these off of Amazon, so a lot of my projects are stored in these. But this is going into the sunroom because this is part of my July stitching. So if you watch the video that I just uploaded last night, I talk about my July stitching plan, and this is in there. So again, another mesh bag. I like these mesh bags like this. This is my newest start. I'm really, really excited for this. I have been delving into stamped cross stitch. Stamped cross stitch is kind of a new thing for me, and it is printed fabric where you're actually stitching over the pattern on your fabric, and at the end when you're done stitching, you soak the fabric to remove the printing that is done on the fabric. So I saw this kit. I have been kind of getting into stamped cross stitch the last 2 years, like since sometime in 2025. I have a little story for one of the pieces I will show you later. But I saw this company on Facebook. So quite a few people order from this company. It's called Painting Fairy Cross Stitch, and they do a lot of cross stitch kits where the cross stitch is printed onto the fabric and then you just stitch over it. And I really, really love this kind of artwork style because it's very cutesy and it's very much me. And I saw this and I just went ahead and bought it last year. So this is the actual official name is Plush Companions and the Stars, but I refer to this as cartoon witches because they're just really cute. Look at those witches, you guys. It's really, really cute. I picked 20 count fabric for my kit, and I just got started with this in June. So one of the things that I'm also hoping to do with my stamped cross stitch, this is stamped cross stitch, is I am hoping to work in hand. So where I got to was this area up through here in the upper left corner. Let me put this behind it so you can maybe see it a little easier. So this, you can see the piece here, what it's going to look like. Again, I haven't ironed this, but I see a lot of Facebook feed reels in my Facebook feed where the companies that sell these pieces from Thailand or Cambodia or overseas in Asia somewhere, there's a lot of companies that produce these kind of kits, these kind of full coverage kits that are stamped and printed on the fabric, and they show videos of people stitching on their project with these rods, these plastic rods. This is PVC pipe. This is ones I bought myself from Lowe's, but they hold these in hand and they actually stitch in hand using the sewing method. And I wanted to try this. I wanted to try the sewing method, stitching in hand, with one of my pieces. So this is my attempt at stitching in hand, and it's actually going really, really fast. I am stitching one thread over one. This is 20 count, and as you can see, I have actually made quite a bit of progress. I'm 517 stitches into this, but I am working on this in hand. And when I first got this, the 20 count Ada was super stiff, and it's really starting to loosen up the more I stitch with it in hand. And I'm really enjoying that. process of using the sewing method to stitch. One of the things you have to be careful of with stamped cross stitch is you cannot get it wet, and you cannot stitch if your hands are sweaty and it's really hot, because your wet, sweaty hands and any moisture will remove the pattern off of your fabric. It will totally wipe the pattern out. One of the things good stamped cross stitch companies do is they will send you a booklet. This is actually the booklet for my thing that gives you a printed copy of the pattern. So they will send you a printed copy of your pattern that matches your thing. And the other trick about the stamped cross stitch that we kind of have to be mindful of is the color that's printed on your fabric is not the color of the floss that goes in that section. So as you can see here, this really dark kind of teal color is actually this really light pink that I've stitched over it. So what floss color you use isn't signified by the color of the printing underneath it. So that is something kind of interesting about these stamped cross stitch kits. Let me take this off and get this rolled back up. So the needle minder that I have on here, actually, I wanted to show that to you. Melanie, I watched Melanie's cat, Lunabon, while Melanie was in the hospital in 2024. She went in for her first knee surgery in 2024, and she was supposed to have her second knee surgery in March of 2025, but her health issues made it impossible. Lunabon was a white cat, and at Camp Got a Stitch last year in 2025, Camp Got a Stitch is the local needlework retreat that Cross My Heart, our local needlework shop that Melanie used to work at, holds in Amish country. And I found this during the retreat and bought it to stick to the project because the white cat just reminded me of Melanie's cat Lunabon that I watched for her. Lunabon actually did find a new home. She went to one of Melanie's other friends that could take her in, and she is living her best kitty life without her human. She is living her best kitty life with Melanie's friend. So that was really good. So new start, working in hand, a new thing for me for 2026. Really glad to start that. All right, let me get that marked off. That is the new start. So that is the Painting Fairy Cartoon Witches. All right. This piece might have also been in my last video. No, it is not. This was a stitch along. I don't actually have a picture of this because the person that designed this is she started a stitch along. She has a lot of stitch alongs going right now, but she started a stitch along. She's a good fan, a good Disney fan, and she really likes the Haunted Mansion, and she started a Haunted Mansion called a Haunted Mansion stitch along called Grim Grinning Ghost, where she published different rooms of the Haunted Mansion, and then people could make their own updates to it. So I'm a fan of the Haunted Mansion, and I picked this to work on. So my card just has the name and the title and who. So it's by Cunning Cross Stitch, and it's called the Grim Grinning Ghost Cell, and this is supposed to be the Haunted Mansion. So this is based off of the Disneyland Haunted Mansion. So there is where I'm at. This is the foyer as you're walking in to the ride at Disneyland. You know where you're standing in the lobby, and it's actually an elevator, and the room closes, and you have the ghost host talking to you, and the elevator lowers you down, and the portraits on the wall stretch. Well, these are the stretching portraits here. I am stitching most of it on, I believe this is 32 count. And it is a dyed fabric. I can't tell you the name of the fabric dyer or what even the colorway is on this, but this is the Haunted Mansion style. You can see I have my Grim Grinning Ghost needle minder here. Really like the Haunted Mansion. And this is the stretching room. The stretching room portraits themselves are being stitched over one. So this one is the three guys, the three guy totem pole, and they're sinking into the quicksand in the beginning of the ride. Haven't really gotten very far on this. This actually, I started this one prior to the pandemic, but it has been a while since I have even worked on it. And the interesting thing is, I'll have to put that back in there, but the interesting thing with this is, so there are so many different variations of all the different rooms in the Haunted Mansion that you could go and spend hours and hours picking your rooms. I have finally picked all my rooms and the iterations that I want to stitch. I just actually have to go in and stitch them all. So that's going to take me a little bit of time. But anyway, I don't have much information about this other than it's a stitch along and there's a Facebook group. So if you are interested in this, I can link to the Facebook group where you can find the patterns that all the people have submitted during the stitching retreat. And you too can join along in the Grim Grinning Ghost stitch along based on the Disneyland Haunted Mansion. There are some edits to the frame of the mansion that are based on the Haunted Mansion from Disney World in Florida. But growing up in Southern California, I much prefer the Haunted Mansion in Disneyland. So that is what I'm going with. So that is the Grim Grinning Ghosts Sal. Okay. This next piece is a collaboration between Lindy Stitches and the Blue Flower. This came out a couple of years ago. When did this come out? This came out in 2021. And this is called Saltwater Scrapbook, but it was a collaboration between the Lindy Stitches and the Blue Flower. And this is what the full piece looks like. And this is how I am stitching it with all the pieces together. I started this September 12th, 2021, using Fabrics by Stephanie Silver Mist on a 40 count linen, using the called for weeks floss and DMC. It came in this whale project bag by the 805 Stitcher. So it was in this nice little project bag. We could buy the kit with everything in it as part of our kit. But this is where I've gotten to. So I've gotten the octopus square finished, and I am working on the sailboat. This is 40 count Silver Mist. I am also stitching this 1/1 full cross. And I have a little teacup needle minder. This is coming out as part of WIP Go for this month. Which is this one for? Oh, that goes for. Okay. Okay. Let me get Saltwater Scrapbook, Lindy Stitches, Saltwater Scrapbook, and then Grim Grinning Ghost South. There we go. Okay. All right. This next piece was a free pattern by Long Dog Samplers when the pandemic started in 2020. Long Dog Samplers came up with this. I do not have this piece I do not have the pattern printed for this because I got the digital pattern and it was free on the Long Dog Samplers website back in 2020 when the pandemic, the COVID pandemic first started. But I got the free pattern, downloaded it, and this was my first Long Dog Samplers. I am stitching this using Sulky 12 weight cotton floss in the colorway Merlot Blush. This is the colorway that I'm using, the Sulky floss, made in Italy. It is 12 weight floss. So one strand of this 12 weight floss is equivalent to about 1.5 to 2 strands of DMC. So I can use one strand of this. I personally hand dyed a piece of 28 count white even weave by Artiste. This is the Artiste brand of even weave from Hobby Lobby. And I am stitching this one thread over 2, and this is where I've gotten to on pandemic. And because the sulky thread is variegated, I am stitching this each stitch one by one and not doing the typical do half of the stitch all the way across and then the remaining half all the way back. I am doing this stitch by stitch completion. So this is where I'm at mostly for Long Dog Samplers Pandemic Sampler. I may actually work on this now since I'm starting to do the in-hand stitching using the rods. I may actually do in-hand stitching on this one as well so I can do the sewing method, see if it goes any faster. But I'm hoping to get some progress in on this one this month and also for the rest of the year. I think this is going to be a keep this out because I didn't work on this at all in 2025. So that is a Pandemic by Long Dog Samplers. Long Dog Samplers, Pandemic. But this is my first long dog. It's not my only long dog, but this is my first long dog pattern. Okay. This next pattern is in a happy birthday bag that I purchased from Made by Mama Joan. Happy birthday bag. And it's in a happy birthday bag because it's a Hello Kitty pattern and I like Hello Kitty a lot. This is another full coverage pattern that I am stitching on 32 count easy count fabric. I call this stained glass Hello Kitty. I got it from I Cross Stitch Pattern on Etsy. This is what it looks like, or what it will look like when it's finished. Stained glass Hello Kitty. I Cross Stitch Pattern on Etsy. I don't know if it's still available or not, but I started this originally March of 2022 for the Semi-Sane 555 birthday challenge. I frogged it March 15th, 2023 to March 17th, 2023. And I restarted this again using tent stitch on March 18th, 2023, also for Semi-Sane 555. I am using the DMC colors for this, but this is on 32 count easy count. And here is my progress. There is my progress. Okay. And again, this is tent stitch, so it's going pretty fast, and I'm hoping to get quite a lot done on this year. We'll see. And I have a little Hello Kitty needle minder on here as well. Right. So this next piece is one that I have to get my things sorted. There we go. So this next piece, I actually have a little bit of a story on. My husband and I here in Columbus, we have what's known as an Amazon return bin store, where Amazon returns that are made all over the country are collected and then shipped out to different locations. And sometimes the locations will put all the stuff in their boxes, in their random just brown boxes, in these bins, and you go into these bins, and each day everything in the store is a certain price depending on what you do. So like our bin store, they restock everything on Thursday night, so Friday starts their new sale. So everything on Friday is $10 no matter what it is. Then you go in on Saturday, everything on Saturday is $7. You know, you get the idea. So each day throughout the week, the price drops, and whatever's in the bin, you get it for that price. And so basically you take your Amazon app on your phone and you can scan the code on the boxes and whatnot, and it'll pull up generally what the item is, and you can figure out based on that day's price if you really think that the item is worth buying. So we started going into the bin store, I want to say either in late 2024 or early 2025. And we kind of go in there about once every couple of months for just various things. And when one trip to the bin store, I was walking through, and I don't have the full kit for this, but I was walking through and I found this. This is a chart. This is the chart here. I found this. It was just laying in the bin. And we were on a $3 day. So I was like, okay, this is kind of interesting. I know it's a cross stitch kit because I recognize it. I've been with the, I've been doing cross stitch since 1989. So I recognized that this was a cross stitch kit. And I looked at it, and look, it's a mermaid. So you can see that it's a mermaid. And I didn't notice at the time, but the company name down here is WIP. Okay. So I had this in my cart. I was thinking it's a chart. I can kit it up for $3. It has the DMC floss numbers. I could maybe kit it up for $3 and see if it's something that I maybe want to stitch. Or maybe I could just sell the pattern for $1 or just give it away to somebody on my channel here. And as I was walking further along in the bins, a couple bins down, I found this. You guys, I found this. It was this hard plastic thing with a set with some floss hanging off of it. Now, it wasn't all of this. If you notice, there's a lot of this off-white. This is 3865. There's a lot of this off-white floss and a lot of these blue flosses. So I found one card of the floss. I didn't know yet that the floss went with the pattern. And so I was like, okay, something is a little weird, right? And then a little bit farther down, you guys, a little bit farther down, I found the fabric. The fabric itself was in another bin. It's a stamped cross stitch pattern. And I was like, I put this back at some point. I put the pattern back at some point. But when I found the fabric, I was like, wait a minute, I wonder if that floss card is the floss for this piece. So I went back, I found the floss, and I went back and I found the pattern again. And sure enough, so if you look at the pattern, it's the mermaid and butterflies. If you look here at the fabric, it's the mermaid and butterflies. You guys, I found part of the kit, part of the whole kit. Never heard of WIP company to save my life, but I found part of a kit. So I put it all together. I bought everything for $3, And I went home and I Googled WIP. So when I Googled WIP, I found out they had a website and a Facebook group. And the owner posts in the Facebook group. And the owner creates the images using AI assist to create her images, but she creates the images and then she offers up her kits that are printed overseas. She offers up her kits, which are printed cross stitch kits like this, with the floss and everything for a certain price. So I reached out to her and I took a picture of this and the pattern and the one card of floss that I have. And I told her the story and she was floored. She was like, wow, thank you so much for doing this. And I said, now, can you please tell me how much of the floss that I need, because I have the DMC right here, how much of the floss I actually need so I can go out and kit it up. She reached out back to me. She goes, no, I don't want you to do that. Thank you very much for saving this kit. I will send you the floss for free. So she sent me the floss. So I was able to kit this up. I got this started. Did I write down when I started it? Yes, I probably did. So I started this January 1st, 2026. So I started it this year. This was a new start for me. My first stamped cross stitch kit. And it comes with CXC floss. So this floss here, you guys, that Sandy Sylvester kits up her projects with is CXC floss. It is the softest dang floss on the planet. It is so soft and it is really, really great to stitch with. Okay, it's really, really great. And I have a whole lot of some of the floss because I have basically like 1.5 sets of the floss. So she actually sent me all the floss. They did come carded on these plastic things. Oh, and a little bit farther down, unbeknownst to me, a little bit farther down in yet another bin, I found some of these. Okay. And I didn't know. I put these in with it because I was like, all right, I can use these for something else. I didn't know these come with her kits. So this was actually part of the kit as well. I didn't know that. So I have these as well from the bin store. And anyway, so I got the floss and I started this January of this year. So interesting story about my first ever stamped cross stitch kit. So as you can see, I have quite a chunk of the area done over here. I have some of the butterfly stitched. The bright green that's right here is all the 3865, which is really kind of cool. But you can see the butterflies in the corners. And here's the mermaid's hair flowing here. Here's the mermaid's body and the mermaid's tail coming out this way. So yeah, this was my first ever stamped cross stitch piece. Why is that coming off like that? I do not know, but my fabric is coming off of that. I'm going to have to redo this because my fabric is coming off of the Velcro bit. So I'm going to have to readjust this and redo it because my fabric is coming off of the Velcro. And just noticed that. I didn't think this this easy stitch stuff was supposed to come off the fabric that well, that easy. So I'm going to have to fix that after a bit. But yeah, this was my first stamped cross stitch. So that is from the WIP company, stamped cross stitch. Nice little story about that. Okay. We are going on 1 hour and 14 minutes. All right, and then the last little bit that I have in here, this is also WIP. This is a stitch along that WIP started for 2026. We had the option of 4, I want to say either 4 or 2 different versions of the same pattern. This is the season stitch along by WIP cross stitch, and this is the piece. It's 4 houses with different seasonal settings that you can see there. Really cute. Again, it's a stamped cross stitch kit with CXC floss. I got this at the beginning of this year, and I don't have the card in here to state exactly when I started. Did I mark it down? Maybe I put it in here. This one has 130 colors with some blends. No, there's no blends in this. 130 colors. I did not put the card in here indicating when I started. And I also did not write it down on there. So anyway, this is a rather large piece of fabric. They gave us quite a lot of extra space around the edges, but this is where I am at on the season sale. I got the bunny started in the spring house, some of the spring here, and I've gotten the I gotten the flower finished, and then the pumpkin here worked on. But I have a lot to catch up on for this stitch along. I have a lot to catch up on because we're supposed to make progress. The whole goal is to have it finished by the end of the year. I am definitely not going to have it finished. The other interesting thing with this is I actually purchased 2 of these kits, forgetting that I had purchased it. I purchased a second kit a week or 2 after I bought the first one. And then when I got this second kit, I was like, oh yeah, I have a second kit. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch this one all in one piece. And then when I get to stitching the other kit, I am just going to stitch the house bits individually, so I can display them individually when I get to that point. But anyway, so that is the Season Style by WIP. That was a new start this year. So I have the mermaid and I have the Season Style. The mermaid I also started January 1st. Oh, the Season Style I started April 1st, 2026. The mermaid I started January 1st, 2026. But the Season Style I started April 1st, 2026. I'll need to write up another card for that because I don't know where the card for that one went to. All right, let me go ahead and I am going to stop this one here. This is going to be the end of part 1 of my SAL. We have looked at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 of my 92 WIPs. So we're at 17 of 92. Have quite a bit more to do. I'm going to stop this here so I can break this up into little bits to make it a little bit more manageable. But thank you very much for watching my first bit. Come back very soon to watch the second bit of my WIP parade, my long overdue WIP parade for 2026. So look forward to that, and we will see you very soon. Take care.